Om. Namaste, welcome everyone to Satsang today. And of course, a very warm welcome to all of you who are still with us via broadcasting. So we have come to understand a good number of people are watching live on broadcasting. So big welcome to you, and of course all of you here in Rishikesh. So very good.
Namaste, Mooji.
Namaste, Rani. Yes.
So, firstly, thank you for being such a beautiful example of patience and compassion. The way you are answering these questions every day is just such, it's just a beautiful model. So thank you for that, and for everything else that you offer us. Thank you. So, you are pointing us to freedom now, here, in this moment, in this lifetime. And we also have the aspiration for freedom from moksha. We want moksha. We want freedom from samsara, from this hamster wheel. And so you touched on it just for a second the first week, and I wonder if you could please say a little more about the relationship between karma, freedom, and the self. Because it is the person that has intentionality, and so it is the person who is accruing karma. But how, by being free right now and what you point us, will be free and liberated for all?
Yes, and you will know that also. In the state of liberation, you will know that there is no karma for the self. You'll know it. Not because you have read it somewhere, but because you have sufficient wisdom, not intelligence also, and an intuitive ability to clarify and to know things beyond study. Just to know, just in the same way, if you fall in love for the first time, you know you're in love. You don't need someone's second opinion about it. You don't say, well, I'm new to love, I don't know if this is love. There's something is so compelling about it. And it is not something to necessarily debate. You are already living in the fullness of that. And so when we speak about, you say, yes, it is the person, of course, that yearns for liberation, because only in the mode of personhood is there sufficient trouble and suffering to then engender a yearning or an aspiration to be free of that suffering. You see? The next stage on from the person, which I call the stage of presence, is not lacking in any way as to give rise to an aspiration for freedom. So it is in the mode of personhood, and remember that person is also a form of consciousness, but it is I would say, a distorted form of consciousness, you see, whereby the consciousness believes itself to be the body, and the conditioning that arose around the body, and other factors which are probably untraceable. The streams are untraceable to say this thing and that thing and that thing contribute. There are innumerable streams that contribute to what we call a person. And that person is a living, fluid entity that is changing moment by moment in terms of mood and outlook and philosophy and feelings and all of these things. So it is not just, the person is not really a noun. They're more like a verb. It's a more fluid sense or being or entity like that. So then we speak, how can this entity, which we call a person, who I'm now saying is a form of consciousness, be free of the karma it incurs during a lifetime? Karma means that the person mode of consciousness takes a sense of responsibility for its own actions. It believes that its decision-making are entirely coming from itself. It is choosing by its own autonomy and the power of its own ability to choose. And so that very idea means that if I do something intentionally, I will reap the consequences, or the outcome of the fruits of my activity will also fall to me, bitter or sweet. That is karma, you see. And when we wake up from this dream, because there's no other place for the person to go as a kind of future movement, either a movement towards evolution in consciousness, which has become more refined, more purified, more open, more complete or harmonious, or what else? To go into deeper stages of ignorance, or darkness, and frustrations and enmity between other beings, and a crippling form of a disintegrating form of consciousness or something. So I don't know if I'm heading in the right direction in addressing your question.
You are, and I am wondering about whether will still be, in the way your knowledge is and what you know, will we still have acquired, accumulated karma left that still needs to burn off once we, in this moment, right here in this hall, are free? That's what I'm wondering about.
Yes. Well, free means to be free of karma, actually. It would necessarily mean free of karma also, because if you're free, but residual impressions are still, being burped up and causing some sort of agitation or anxiety in the beingness, the being itself will not be able to testify, I'm free. You see? Mm-hmm. However, there is something more that needs to be said about that, and I would say that the model of consciousness that is presented as the person is highly strong in terms of we have so many requirements to be put in place and conditions before we feel we are in a place where we are relaxed and content. So it's a kind of dependent state, depending on whether I'm feeling secure or happy or whatever. The state of beingness is not like that. It is naturally happy. It is naturally unburdened. It is not seeking refuge from these things. So it is said also in the ancient scriptures, it also mentions that even for a liberated being, there is something called prarabdha karma, which means that the karma that is naturally to be expelled for the duration of the bodily life, but that being is not concerned about it. Is not actually a victim of any karma. From an internal state, they are beyond that. But from the stage of maybe an onlooker, they may say, well, why is he still, it's his karma to be still running a business, or to be a family person, and to have all these responsibilities must be a burden for him. How can he really enjoy his freedom, and so on? But from within the mind of a liberated being, they are not being tortured by any state. They are genuinely happy. They're not pretending either. They have no reason to pretend also.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Good. You come.
Namaste, Mooji.
Namaste.
I don't believe I'm standing here. As I give up more beliefs from my mind, dreams, ambitious, which I'm finding as domain of my head, of egos, I'm finding difficult to make a decision, plans for the future.
Good. God has a better plan for you than your mind has. You'll find it difficult to make plans for the future because there really isn't one. In the way that we have been conditioned to believe. Our plans for the future is based upon a poor recognition of what the present is. When we are fully happy in now, you don't be thinking about future. You are content, and it just seems that that is the nature of your being. You see? But the mind says, haha, you're laughing now, but you wait until...
Yes,
and then,
sometimes we have to make a decision for something that is going to be in a few months, like make some schedules, flights, such.
That is practical. That is
Practical things,
practical, pragmatic functions of the mind. They are okay. They don't leave any footprints in the consciousness. That's just practical mind. And even after the stage of awakening, although there continues to be a form of maturing and refining even in the stage of awakening, but what happens is that even the awakened being may have to make some, sort of like practical arrangements if they are necessary. Suppose I need to fly to Barcelona, and the best tickets maybe in terms of price may be better to buy it 2 weeks before or something like that. They may say, oh yeah, okay, we buy it. But they're not living in that. They're not saying, oh, I'm definitely going anywhere. No, they sense that that is a practical thing to do. Another one may feel, no, I wait right until the last moment. We cannot have a detailed account of what an enlightened being would behave like. But there will not be an obsession about the future. It might be now and again they may have to make a practical decision about something, yes.
But there is moment of decision, like in now, if I should listen, like what is the voice of the heart and what's the voice of ego. I have difficult to balance and choose which one is.
Well, maybe because really the decision you are presented to make perhaps is not alive for this moment. It is not yet, it's not necessary to be trying to make a decision. And that's why you're left pondering, is this coming from my mind or my heart? If it was really, really crunch time and you need, something would come. It would be more easy. It may not even take the form of a decision. You may just be compelled to move in a certain way. Take it from me, you'll be far happier. Forget about all of that stuff, until you are presented with a situation whereby someone say, look, but we have to make a decision for the whole family, and why should you be left out waiting for the last minute? Because we are doing this all together. Then you may see, actually, yes, I'll go along with it. What you go ahead and plan. Or we're going to go on the 27th and so on. So, okay, right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Very cool. Guys, we got 3 days.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
I had been following the first parts of the satsang over the internet. And I would like to thank you and also each and every one of you here, because I could feel I was already here and I just had to drag my body to join my soul nestled at your feet.
Very good.
So, all the questions have been answered. All doubts dispelled. And it's simply a river flowing to this infinite ocean. Exactly like a gopi with Sri Krishna, I was at home and felt this divine music of the flute of your heart and had to leave everything there. Meal on the stove, milk spilled, curd half prepared, and ran out to join this celebration. So that it's not searching, it's coming for ecstatic dancing, celebrating, being. And this comes as fullness, so overflowing that I hear many people say emptiness and nothing. And here it is fullness and everything. So maybe I jumped, but I am dangling by some thread that needs to be still cut until fullness becomes emptiness.
If you have followed my pointing, what is most honestly true of your experience? That you are everything or that you are nothing? What does it feel like? What have you come to? That whatever you perceive, it's only a sensation for this moment. It also passes. And everything is coming and going. And you're told, don't cling to anything for a moment. And you come to see that everything is just floating by. Or sensations, emotions, objects, relationships, all are floating by in this river of life. Of course, this body also is doing its own floating as well too. But the place from where one sees, one observes, is that also floating? Or is there a stillness in that place?
Very still.
There is stillness. And so whatever is appearing as energetically, as emotion or feeling or thought or object in terms of, the things of the world and so on, coming and going in front of this lens of perception, all that is seen to be going. So we are told, just observe, some things flow this way, and this body is also interacting, that's also watched and flow along. But that from where the flow is being observed, is that still, you also now say that is a stillness here. Is that stillness caught up in any of the activity it is perceiving?
No.
No, it is not caught up. And so, if it is not tied or combined or identified with or attached to anything that it perceives, what remains of it? What is it? What is here? Behind the looking itself, even the seeing, even the perceiving of what is arising and passing, even the perceiving is appearing in front of this. What is this? Is it a fullness or an emptiness, or can we say? That stillness, that silence. Does it ever get crowded? Does it ever get claustrophobic?
No.
Does it ever get just, like there's just too much perceiving going on, I can't cope? So when we look like that, and we are paying attention to our inner environment and climate, what do you perceive of your inmost sense of being? What really is going on there activities, stillness? What is there? How does it feel for you? Does it feel like boring? For instance, is it boring? There's nothing going on here. Everything is going on down there. Everything is going on there. But here, there's nothing. Is it like that?
Ever new.
Ever new. It feels love is love. Love is. Somebody said love is felt. What else is here? It's here now also. So nobody is constructing it. And I say, don't bring your imagination here. It's not necessary. Just look. Because if it's real, we don't need imagination. If it's real by itself, we don't need visualizations. We don't need even technique. If it's real, it means it is perceivable effortlessly. What is here then? Life. Life is perceived.
Joy.
Joy is perceived. Let's call those the perfume arising from this, whatever. What is this? What is this? Awareness. Awareness, she says awareness. What is awareness? Huh? What? Huh? The seer. The seer, says the seer is left. Can the seer be seen also, like other things? You say, love is perceived. Love is perceived. Some silence is perceived over there. There's no silence there. No, joy is perceived. Yeah, joy. The seer. Can the seer be perceived? That which perceives. Huh? Vibration. Vibration is perceived. That's also something that arises like a fragrance, you see? And that's also, vibration is perceived, no? But that which perceives, can that be perceived?
No.
Huh? Okay. Speak from your direct experience. Because the reason why I ask is that sufficient numbers of people, I am under the impression, okay, are resting in that as that. So only from these people I want to hear, you see? What is here? Can it be defined? Cannot be defined. You see? So do you feel, hooray! Eureka! Do you feel like this? What do you feel? Huh? Some people say nothing, some people, not of nothing is what. Okay, so. Great sense of openness. We're getting a sense, no? Some say emptiness, some say openness, some say peace, some say, good vibration or vibration, some say different things. But all these are things also perceived, very subtle. But this is which leaves what? A feeling of joy or happiness or what? Because to come here, to be and to discover this, what had to happen? To discover this as a direct experience, not as something you've read. Speaking from the authority of your own seeing and experience, what did you have to do to be here? I like that, that's good. I had to suffer and get tired maybe of suffering at the aspiration. Because also there are beings for whom the world holds, innumerable promises and innumerable adventures are still ahead. And who are, sort of like, this is just on the way to further experiences anticipated. So the question for you is here, what really is here that was not put here? And what is its own environment like by itself? Do we still feel any sense of restlessness and unfinished business and so on? No. Have you given up on life? One finds that even after the realization has come, the clarity has come, life continues also, but something is flowing from a newly discovered center, and it is not burdened by what it perceives. In fact, it brings joy and love there, rather than from the old state of mind, which was always often agitated and impatient and negative sometimes, and desireful and all of these things. Now, from this state, does there feel like there's a long way to go from here now? Anybody? We are just at the beginning of a very long journey. What is the feeling? There's no way to be. There are no particular ways to say, oh, as from now, you must be like this. In each form, that freedom will manifest in its own unique way. So we may vary in expression, but we are one as source. And that is why love can flourish also. We each carry still a unique fragrance, but the essence is one. The one enjoying itself in the form as many. It can be said like that. Still knowing the many is the one. Not abstractly, not intellectually, just deeply, intuitively, perfectly. Or deepeningly. Because there will be, as long as the body is here and the vital breath and consciousness is here, there will be space for a kind of deepening, a continuing maturity, but against the background of unchanging awareness. The mind will not be able to figure it out. But from within the experience itself, it confirms itself. You're not so much a navigator anymore. You're not trying to find your way through life. You are life itself. In all its unexpectedness, and all its diverse streams and flow, you are one with life. And at the same time, the life is also perceived in you, by you. Such a mystery we are. Thank you. Somebody there? Okay, come. I was meeting someone coming from behind there. Okay.
Namaste, Mooji.
Namaste, Amma.
I need to sit if it's okay. I need to sit if it's okay.
You need to sit?
Yes.
Okay, we can give your chair to her. Young man. Okay. And maybe we have to take the microphone off then, do we? No, let him do it. Let him do it. Okay.
The recognition here that there is nothing but this.
The recognition here that there is nothing, but nothing means nothing substantial. There's nothing here but this. This
is
okay.
It's all that it is,
Yeah.
and all that it was, and all that it will be.
Yes.
This is the core of all manifestation.
Yes.
Nothing exists apart of this. And everything has a seed or a core like emptiness and stillness and pure love and innocence. Actually, there is nothing, no things. It's all spirit. And this kind of core gives birth to everything. And there is no any difference or separation between what I am to this. Even there is a looking over and over and over again, there is no any separation between what I am to this. I am this.
Yes.
I give birth to everything. I'm here before everything, even before the feelings of God, the knowing of God. Like, if I'm not here, where is God? Where is the knowing of God? Where is this knowledge?
Listen, 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 listen.
Actually, there is no I. It is only God here. It's only God. All is God.
This is the realization of the self taking place. Only it can know itself. This is not an intellectual recognition. This is heart discovering heart. Yes.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything. I love you so much.
Self thanking self for self. This is a unique moment in the human kingdom. Not every day you will bear witness to this. Consciousness in its self-portrait as a person waking up through the reflections or the mirror of satsang to recognize its imageless perfection. Thank you. Can I take you for now? Yes. Come quickly. First him. First you. Yeah. Yeah.
Namaste, Mooji.
Namaste.
Quickly, last week someone mentioned that you ate their ego through the TV screen. If you wanted to eat mine for dessert, you're welcome to.
Is it tasty? Yeah, oh.
Maybe not. I've been wondering, is it possible to feel this clarity and love, this truth, while physically not healthy, like without a healthy nervous system, or
Yeah. Sometimes it's easier.
Okay.
Sometimes it's easier.
Okay.
Sometimes the sickness in the body actually makes it more clear for you that you are not the body also. You see? Sometimes it's like this. Sometimes the more things going on around you, the more noise, the more silence you recognize in yourself. Sometimes we need the contrast. So if the body is not well, and also, it is possible. But if you are one who gives a lot of importance to your body and You know, every time a little thing comes, you run to the doctor and it's just a bump or something. A new bump has shown up, and we go to the doctor and we want to have it, you know, x-rayed and examined and so on. Then it will not be easy to recognize and rest in the heart as the heart, no? But
what about antidepressants or psychotropic drugs that are in my system? I sometimes feel like that's been the biggest regret of my life. It removes me from knowing what's real.
Let's take a look. What's this one, the last one you call it? Psycho what?
Oh, psychotropic drugs like
What do they do? What do they do in the body and mind?
It's apparently changes your serotonin and dopamine in your brain.
Which means what in baby food? Tell me as baby food.
Oh, okay. It changes your levels of happy drugs in your mind. Like
Which means what in baby food? How does it feel? How do you function or not because of it?
It often makes me feel dizzy and disassociated from. It feels like there's this empty wall of.
Yeah. So let's start with that, because even dizziness, for someone without this drug, they're also perceiving a sense of dizziness. They can perceive dizziness in the body or something like this, and they know that this dizziness is a state that is being experienced now, but it's past. They know you're not the dizziness. You feel a toothache coming. You experience the fullness of it, but you know you're not the toothache. You feel your head swirling and and confusion, but you know you're not the confusion. Something that is there that perceives and observes these conditions knows it is not them, that they pass also, even when you're under the influence of these drugs. Isn't it like that? You may say, unusually, unlike most people probably in society, you know, I have an extreme dose of this type of situation, but your capacity to perceive it is still very much intact, actually. It is not happening to your being, it's not happening to your pure self. It is happening to the body-mind and the functions of the brain and whatever. And that is observable. In fact, it may be an excellent case where you are able to observe and show that the observer is independent of the condition itself.
That observer feels clarity?
Yes.
That is clarity, the observer?
Well, the clarity in the sense that it is not caught in the bubble of those effects, whether they are, they are produced by some hallucinogenic medical allopathic thing, or whether it is self-caused. It is still the same perceiver, is not caught in the bubble of what is happening. It perceives it, but it is not a victim to it. It is just observes. Is that capacity lost in you?
I've thought it was, yes.
You see, and you would be someone who I would like to have the opportunity to be next to you while you're going through that, and just to sit and just to talk with you while that is happening. I'm not guaranteeing, I'm just saying that I have a feeling that if you're pointed to where you actually are, your experience will change, actually. It may be at a certain point, at a certain point, you may feel well enough to stop taking this type of medication. You may say, go back and check with your doctor, let them look at you after you have absorbed and looked from the place I'm inviting you to see from within your own self, to see if you really need that type of support.
Yes.
You may still need it, I don't know, but I would like to sit with you and...
Of course, I would love that.
I don't mean to go home now and get laced up with a lot of stuff.
No, I understand. Yes.
but,
I've wanted to leave these drugs for many years.
Yes.
And I just feel as though I'm addicted to them. So it's, yeah.
I wonder, you think I could ask this question? That I know there are a few doctors in the house. I'd like to hear their opinion. Right? Is it possible then that you may observe that your personal life may exhibit some of these idiosyncrasies and seeming dependencies and so on, like that? And some medicines are being taken in that realm and so on. And at the same time, you are totally free? Is it possible, you think? Is it a doctor's question? Or is it, you see, that you may watch the behavior that's happening in the body and it's not particularly controllable, perhaps, or that one continues to take medication for a certain kind of thing, but they're not at all identified with that state and are totally happy within themselves? Do we think it is possible?
No.
Huh? There's a voice that I think I want to hear. Who is it? Could you come near? And I want to hear. Come. Could you walk a bit faster? If it's going for a Sunday afternoon stroll or something. We're all dying to hear what you have to say. Okay. Yes.
Bhagwan.
Yeah.
For 20 years, I'm on antidepressants, the highest doses of the antidepressants, and I'm free. Yeah. And I can't take off those medicines because they are too much into my physical cellular cell, and I can't get them off now.
Yeah, but what would happen? Did I tell you what would happen?
If I get them off, then the energy which the medicines they have been suppressing so far, and they will erupt like a havoc. Oh. So whenever I try to taper off, the extreme anger, irritation, agitation, it comes up, and it makes the life hell for those around me, including myself. So I have chosen to be on the medicines, but it's not an obstacle for me to be free.
Okay, that's one thing. Is there anybody here, 1 second, is there anybody here who did choose or who did had similar kind of effects and did come off the medicine and didn't go back to taking them because they were suppressing some bad behavior, which then allowed them to have a certain amount of life, but then when they didn't go back to taking that medicine? I would like to hear the report of someone like that. Yeah, we have a few. We have a few. Who is going to come to the microphone? Don't move. Somebody, you can come. Yes, you get up there and say something. Is there anyone who? Okay, one moment. Is there anyone who as a result of a certain condition, were put on certain kind of allopathic drugs or something like this, which then suppressed the eruptions that they would feel without the drugs, and then as a result of feeling better, either through coming to satsang or whatever it is, feeling better, decided to take the risk of not taking these drugs which suppress their behavior, and are still here today and not locked up.
Bhagwan, just can I add up one sentence here?
Okay. We're going to, yes, I don't want to only be talking on this subject. I want just to get a little bit of some a sense of it myself,
yes,
to understand.
It's not that I have not reduced the medicines. 3 years back when I had extreme panic attacks and I went up the medicines, Now, out of the 6 medicines, I'm only on 2 medicines. This is what I wanted to say.
It's very good.
And slowly I'm tapering down the dosage also, so that body does not reverse back.
Very good.
Yeah. So I just want to give it a hope.
It's good. It's already a success story up until this point.
Yes.
Yes. Please take the microphone.
Namaskaram,
Namaskar.
Guruji.
Yes.
Guruji, I have been blessed to go through a paralytic attack, partial handicap for 5 good long years, and even bland death 7 good times. Guruji.
Could you say again what about death?
And death.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
7 great times.
Okay.
But Guruji, that fear, psychosis does not leave me. It keeps on pulling me down. What if you collapse while going over there? What if you faint away? What if you die?
So this is a voice, it's inside, no? He's coming like that. And sometimes we have different names for this one, this voice. Some call him the devil, some call it the darker side of the person, of the personality, or these kind of like unclean spirits also. We are many, depending upon what language you are used to in this way of speaking, But if someone were to come to you and to say to you like this, they're completely taking away your hope, They're trying to make you go down. What if this happened to you? So why? So that you will just think, oh, no, I don't want that. And so you will postpone. You will avoid. And opportunities for freedom, opportunities for expansiveness, and you will somehow get to avoid them. So is this voice your friend? He's not your friend. He's not your friend. And I want to speak just a moment before. I want to hear more from you, that many of you, as a result, because it seems so rare in the human kingdom that a single human being comes to flower into complete awakening. We don't know what it is. People think it's a myth. They think that the Buddha or Krishna, they were just comic movies or some kind of mythology, human fantasy. They don't believe that it is possible to awaken means to be a complete being, happy, content, luminous in wisdom, full of joy, full of love, unselfish, complete. You see, people, many people don't believe it. And here is what is happening, is that there is the evidence. That's why I say, blessed is the one whose life is the evidence of truth. And you have to become the proof that God exists. Not speculation. Okay? And I'm standing in my position. I'm standing with you. I'm saying, let's look together. What are you discovering? Because people are looking in from various parts of the world. Some are atheists and all different types to say, what is going on about? Many people believe there's no such thing as a happy human being. It's not possible. We are just meant to be miserable and very destructive. You are the proof of that it is possible that one awakens, not by trying to become a better person only, that has its place, but actually by that in coming out of the personhood state and into the state of presence consciously, one finds that one's entire being has been rejuvenated, refreshed, transformed. That there's a beauty, there's a compassion that is built into who we are, that manifests in the awakened state. This is what I want to say. And yes, and that there are some energies that will try for a while, it seems, we cannot refute it, to bring you down and to suffocate your opportunity, to sabotage the possibility of freedom. And they will speak these things into your head. They'll tell you to commit suicide or to do something like this. And for a while you may feel a bit down as you are going through this state of transition. Sometimes you may feel suddenly down, and then these voices tell you, why don't you just jump or something like this. You have to overcome this voice.
Yes, Guruji, I did that, and I managed to encrypt 2 books during my stage of handicap, where holding a pen was also a Herculean task. But with the grace of God, the belief in self, I could manage to do it.
Give her a hug for me. Wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, let's leave this for now. Mom, you want to say something? Come now, quickly. Yeah.
From 2 standpoints. This morning I woke up usually I love walking around here with some sticks. So this morning I forgot them. I feel so light, and I walked as I have never walked. So, but I do not care. I do not care. May this continue, may this not continue. I don't know. The best thing is that I do not care at all about this body.
Very good.
And I'm happy. I need some substance. This body is physical ill, but it doesn't matter anything.
Well, what?
So the other, may I continue?
Yes, yeah.
The other thing is, as a medical doctor, I have observed. I am familiar with psychosomatic diseases, psychotherapeutic things, and I've been in psychiatry with this, and I think it is very important to distinguish what kind of disease there is. I've seen people really who have been psychotic periods who killed themselves, and I would think it is not advisable that these people who are in such a dangerous, I'm not really able to.
People who are in this kind of vulnerable state, and who are, that they are not encouraged to give up medication.
Yes, I'm
and
not
so
really
on.
able.
So I hear what you're speaking, and
yes.
I totally agree.
Yes. And
yeah.
Well, I thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Yeah. You're good?
My final thought was, or questions, was I want to remove as many obstacles as possible from experiencing true clarity.
Yes.
And I know, speaking for myself, that a drug, it's an obstacle to me. So,
well, I'm not entirely sure if it is a real obstacle or an imagined one. You see, because we are trained, we are told also sometimes, oh, you're never going to be able to do this while you're on this, and so on, so on, so. I'm not so ready to accept those kind of assessments. I like to give things a try and just to see, well, let's see if this is true or not.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't feel that there's any obstacles to awakening to the self, as a fact, like there is this obstacle. I don't feel that there is any, apart from what we imagine. And you may imagine something so strongly that it becomes a kind of, you imagine it into reality and becomes your experience.
Thank you, Mooji.
Thank you. So. Oh.
Namaste, Guruji.
Okay, you go on.
Sorry. Actually, I had a question that after realization, everything merges into one essence. What is that, and why did it manifest in so many forms?
There's nothing wrong with it manifesting in so many forms. It doesn't dilute itself by manifesting in trillions of ways.
What is the purpose of that?
Of what?
I mean, it can stay as one essence instead of manifesting like this in so many people, and so many people struggling to get in one form with that essence again. So what is the purpose of that?
Well, it will also be answered by, you see, in you put in the question like that, it almost starts with the assumption that life is tough. Why did it bother to do all this stuff when in fact it is essentially quite beautiful? You see?
Yeah.
And would you have this feeling that for all that your life has revealed through experience, it really isn't really worth it? Or do you feel that somehow this play of life is a deeply, potentially so enriching as an experience for consciousness to somehow develop true consciousness muscles in discerning and growing and experiencing life in its multitude of ways and diversities? Is it nothing worth that at all, or is it?
It is totally worth it, but
Yeah.
if the soul, if that essence stayed as it was, then all this wouldn't, all this was not required.
Actually, this essence has stayed as it is. Even in the midst of all this seemingly crazy, it is still perfect, actually. And that is the mystery, and that is what is so beautiful to discover.
So, do I not have any particular purpose for this life? I mean, I just have to get in oneness with that essence and just.
If you are under a present impression that your life is for discovering and doing as much as you can do in the adventure of living, to be as creative as possible, to leave a name for yourself, to just be as creative and as successful as possible, then it is consciousness that wants to experience like that for a time. When it is ready for a change, it will create the kind of the environment, it will arrange circumstances that it does step up to another level. I can't say that because someone is not yet tuned into the deeper state, their life is really invalid. I say, no, it is consciousness is using that very life, actually, as part of the grid that interacts and help all of life, actually, is being touched on every level. You see, I don't feel that the sole purpose is, just come here, wake up as quick as possible and go home. No, I feel, no, sometimes, and we have been at this for a while, actually. I don't think we are newcomers to life. I think we have been at this for quite a bit, wanting, desiring, and the desiring has created, when the body life runs out, the desire creates more vehicles to keep traveling through.
So once someone attains another level of consciousness, then they will not return back to the lower level again. And once they have attained all the levels of consciousness, then will they not be reborn again?
Yes.
I'm having...
It's not all the levels of consciousness, because actually you cannot experience all the levels of consciousness as a person, you know. You'd have to be going through so many incarnations, thousands of incarnations. I cannot say, you know, what determines the final episode, you know. And this one will bring you. I always feel like this one is the final episode. Treat it like the final episode. And that things must be understood in this life. Because what you may be in the next life, you have no control over that. So let's say, if we're going to speak at that level, you don't have any idea. If it is true that we are reincarnated time and again, your last life, you know, you had no idea that in your future life you'll be standing here talking to me about these things. And maybe at the point of you leaving the last body, you know, you may have been really terrified, like, no, I'm going to miss all my friends. Gone. And then, next life. And then you are deeply attached to this life. We don't know if it's not like that. You see? But as you did ask a question I wanted to say, because you say that as you as you outgrow a certain mode of being, do you have to go back all over that mode again? You see? Perhaps you're talking about like the period of childhood, for instance. Would you have to go back to childhood again? Possibly, to experience that. But maybe a mature soul that goes through the period of childhood start to exhibit tremendous wisdom from early and don't have time to waste as childhood, and just want to finish off whatever their obsession was in the previous life. Who knows? We don't know. Also, you can reincarnate in already a grown body. You don't have to always start as a child.
Thank you very much.
Okay? That's
Namah Guruji.
Namaste.
First, a brief thank you to the tremendous crowd that you have collected here with such a genuine seeking wish. I've not seen anything like it since the early days of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, so thank you. Now my question, well, maybe after 800 years of meditation, I have finally come to a point where I think, you know, the final curtain may come down. I have a good ability in the meantime to get rid of feelings, thoughts, just feeling my own pure beingness. But the final curtain I have found is a little bit associated with some proudness in myself. It's difficult for me to disassociate myself from my successes, in my own opinion, bright intellect and things like that. And I really just want to let it go. And even to a degree that I have found that the mind is hanging on. And it's really the mind that kind of distract this final process of just letting go of everything.
Let's take a look and see, because, you know, you may say, you know, this I've done a lot of things in my life. I have so much to be proud of, and it's very difficult to let it go. And if you had the sense of humor of Muhammad Ali, who once said, you know, it's hard to be humble when you are as great as I am. And that was a bit of. I thought he was joking actually. So, but he was very provocative in this kind of like way, but I took it very lightly. I thought it very funny. You know, it's hard to be humble when you are as great as I am. Who says things like that? So he had that sort of stage to say things like that and to get away with it because, you know, he was also such a lovable being at the same time. I feel that, yes, it is true that what we have, often we feel we have a brilliant mind. Many people feel like, you know, I've got a cracking mind here, you know, I mean, like, you know, I mean, it was given, you know, for, you know, to exhibit, you know, the brilliance and so on. Why should I give it up and so on? And that could be Final Curtain or one of them. We don't know. But as soon as, if you're guided into the depth of your own being, you come to some point where it is very clear that what you are perceiving, external to this body and internal to this body, are sensations, phenomenal sensations, which come and go and largely depend on the faculty of memory. And if memory was not there, and actually the content of memory you are not even, because something is able to say, my memory is not as good as it used to be. I was able to remember, you know, all the names of the people here just after 1 hour of meeting them or something like that. And now I can't remember anything at all or whatever. Or, you know, my memory used to be like functioning at 95% capacity. And now I would say it's kind of like 33. What observes that memory? Is that trapped inside memory itself? So there is a capacity outside of the remembering faculty that observes the functioning of memory itself and knows that, am I caught in the bubble of memory? Am I inside the box of what is remembered, or am I outside the box of what is remembered? So these natural reflections begin to arise within you like waves of illumination that just, oh, wow, I never thought of it like this and so on. But even as you're guided in the inquiry, as in the way that we do here, in a very simple way, we come very quickly to the point where you see that there is just some observing principle, or it's not a form, it's not an object. It seems like it just issues out from somewhere, the same place where I feel intuitively I am, seem to be in the same location with it, where perception seems to flow outwards. And in that, even the idea and the remembering and the feeling about myself as having a brilliant mind is also perceived in that. And that having a brilliant mind feeling, it also comes and goes. Sometimes I may feel I have a lousy mind. Like it's brilliant in some ways, but whoa, what a, you know. So, yes, and so there is an intelligence, a place from where the looking arises that can perceive the sense of the one or that has a brilliant mind or something and says, you know, it's hard to let go of this. And a whole lot can be seen from a place which does not have that admission in it. It doesn't say, I have anything at all. And once that discernment distinguishes that there's this space here is what is left when everything comes and goes, and even while they are coming, it is still untouched and unperturbed, and the attention now rests only in the space of being rather than in the space of becoming. You may say, actually, I feel so good just as the beingness who has no story. It never says as a brilliant mind or something like that. And the sense of the one or the identity that has a beautiful mind, it just feels like it was nothing to this. It's just a claim. How do we know? How does anybody know you've got a beautiful mind? And what is a beautiful mind? Is the mind that would win the mastermind contest? Or is it a mind that is full of compassion and love and humility? What is a brilliant mind? You see? So looking in this way, you may come to a much clearer understanding, much quicker than you think, and the curtains that you imagine is the one to fall maybe is not there at all.
Yeah. One thing that I also find a little bit difficult is for many, many years I thought when I was thinking I am, I thought I were at the soul level, kind of. And it was only later that I discovered that the silent witness within was not really I am. I realized that very clearly. And I have been able to peel off in more or less a Buddhist way all these layers. But still, I find myself, also when I'm meditating, going into this more I am rather than the silent witness within kind of mood. And I find that disturbing and undesirable, but I don't know how to cope with that.
You know, in the same way, the person also has a capacity to witness also. But we know that the witnessing is partial and that it is more interested in witnessing to its own advantage, okay?
Yeah.
And then we go back to a deeper witness, that in whose presence that previous personal witness is also seen, and see if this witness is pure. And if we feel that this witness, whatever it perceives, it has a reaction to it, then it must also share in the qualities it is reacting against. So it itself is not pure, purer than the first position, but not necessarily so pure. It still has certain traits or qualities, characteristics that says that it has a partiality. That within which that is seen may come to be that which has no personal characteristics or interest whatsoever. And that may be felt to be the universal witness. And what does the universal witness see? What is it interested in? In fact, it has no particular interest in things. Things are seen from a place of neutrality. They're just perceived. But because you will still have a dynamic form, even after awakening, and that dynamic form will exhibit hunger and perhaps desire and urges and intuition and spontaneity, and all of that will still be expressed. I would have to say a love is arising from behind that one that somehow infuses and takes care of that very dynamic form of yourself also.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
But the witness that you speak about is you're speaking that whatever it is, however subtle, and some things are so subtle, there are no words for them, but they are perceived. In something is able to perceive. Even the subtlest movement is perceived in it. And that which perceive even the subtlest of movements, can that itself be perceived? And there's a question.
That's a good question.
Try it and see what happened, because, in fact, this is the one question that no answer can satisfy. It can only be satisfied by a revelation, by a direct experience, not merely an intellectual answer. It is really an adventure of self-discovery, this question. And perhaps maybe the final question and the most important one. Because the answer is an experience rather than a mental construct.
Lastly, when the final curtain eventually may go, do you think that it's always associated with a Kundalini rise, where the person, gets to a higher energetic level, whatever?
No, it doesn't have to go through. This kind of Kundalini thing happens also mostly in the best way, spontaneously. If it is searched for as an experience, many people have come away with energetic experiences happening out of their control that they cannot control, in fact, some of it.
Yeah.
the recognition of the self does not necessarily produce an energetic response in that way. A response does happen, is that there's a complete changing over from the sense of person who seemed to have been in authority to that sense of person being evicted from its seat or whatever. And what remains is this magnificent space or intelligence of being, whose perfume is joy and silence and peace. And it may be followed at different points by energetic eruptions of tremendous bliss or something like that. But they are not a statement or an assessment or a validation of your state. It's just that it will just keep on erupting into beautiful insights and so on may come.
Good. Thank you, Mooji.
Thank you. Who really, this is you? Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Thank you, my love. There's something to overcome in me, a fear of having no words for my gratitude.
You know something, as a matter of fact, can you imagine that something can happen to you, leaves you speechless? Yeah. As it damaged your expression of gratitude? Your very speechlessness is the most eloquent expression of gratitude.
I just hear you, I hear you. Your song in my heart. It's like Om Ka Guruji, Om Ka Guruji, Om Ka Guruji, Om Ka Guruji, Om Ka. Om Ka Guruji, Om Ka Guruji, Om Ka. Om Ka Guruji, Om Ka. You took my voice away, but all that's left is you. There's nothing to add to you. And you have given me a new family. I came here with a deep feeling of loss, of taking everything away. Husband, kids. No one is no more interested in me. In this, what is named Stephanie. And it faded away. 1 week before I came here, my husband blocked me totally off without saying any word. And it was a shock. I came here totally broken. But coming to India, stepping out of the aeroplane, it was only love, love, love from the first moment till now. And the top of all, the peak of all, yesterday I found my Indian mother and father and family really. She's 20 years younger, my mother, than I. And my father about that too. And the kids are my sisters in my heart. And it's only a symbol for the love I can feel when I look around in the eyes. And it's a wave of so much grace, I can't express it in words. And my voice is, also my body is not functioning well, and it doesn't stop anything. And
David, one's behind you here, son.
This is... She is your love song to me. And it's not only her, she embodies what I got, my home. My heart is your heart, and your heart is my heart, and it's no distance is one. And still there's a feeling of arrogance that I get so much from you that I was running after you, your physical presence. But when I look at you, I feel that's not true, that you accept me with this longing to be close to you. Only with love.
Okay.
Your blessings.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Namaste, Mooji.
Namaste, Amma.
I don't have anything, but something just pushed me out of the chair to come
I
here.
saw you flying.
I know. I don't know what happened. I was just pushed out of my chair to just come here. Nothing to say. No questions. Everything is just perfect. But just, I was pushed here.
Yeah, the one who pushed you here is now laughing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come. Russian?
Russian translation, please.
Намасте, Гуруджи.
Namaste.
Спасибо за то, что позвал сюда.
Не слышу.
Спасибо за то, что позвал сюда.
Very much thank you for calling me.
Наверное, первое – это тот вопрос, который ты задавал в зал. Есть ли люди, которые пережили большие трудности с психологическим здоровьем и прошли?
First question, it is what you were asking us. We have some people here who went through the medical problem and...
Я сама психотерапевт, и 25 лет с этим работала.
And recover. And then she is herself on psychotherapist and with working 25 years with such people.
Но я всегда работала без таблеток с теми людьми, с кем это было возможно.
And she was always working with the people without drugs.
Всегда человек перед тем, как он идет к врачу, он переживает огромную боль, с которой протест против того, что есть в мире, с которой он не может справиться сам.
And from her, she noticed through the work that every time when the people are coming through the
переводчик. До того, как человек идет к врачу, он испытывает огромную боль, протест против того, что есть в мире. Страх ли это или другое чувство?
Before somebody goes to see a doctor with psychological problems, he feels a huge pain about this world. And is it fear or something else?
Медикаменты глушат эмоциональную сферу. Человек просто ничего не чувствует.
And medicaments, they are suppressing this emotional sphere, and somebody doesn't feel anything.
И в этот момент искать Бога очень трудно. Даже я не представляю, как, потому что при сильных препаратах человек похож на растение. Он просто кушает, он просто смотрит. Он, как правило, Бога не ищет, а уходит в мир фантазии.
And in this, with this medical treatment, somebody is not looking for God, because everything is so suppressed. They become like a plant life, like a vegetable, and they just usually go into the fantasy world, not seeking for God anymore.
И если ему помочь, не всем можно помочь таким способом, если помочь соприкоснуться и перепрожить боль, это может быть какие-то серьезные проблемы или случаи в прошлом. Иногда это поднимаются панические атаки из прошлого, совсем прошлых жизней. Да?
Я не понял.
Хорошо. Если человеку помочь соприкоснуться с этой болью, этот эмоциональный заряд, emotional charge, он уходит.
If you can help somebody to touch this emotional pain, then it can go.
Yes.
Но это нужно либо самому мужества набраться, чтобы соприкоснуться с этим, либо рядом с специалистом, который поможет это пройти. За руку с Богом внутри, пока есть разделенность.
But somebody have to be quite mature for that, and or have somebody around, like a specialist, who can take his hand and help him to find God.
3 года назад в моей жизни была ситуация, которая вызвала на меня огромную негативную волну со всех сторон.
3 years ago, I had a situation in my life which produced a huge negative emotional wave.
Тело покрылось ранами от страха нападения.
My body was covered with wounds because of the fear of attack.
Сейчас тело чистое, я не выпила ни одной таблетки.
Now my body is clean and I didn't have any medication, not a single pill.
Но нужно было, чтобы ушла боль эмоциональная, всех простить, увидеть в этом руку Бога.
But it was important for me to forgive everyone, for this emotional pain to go away.
Что это был урок, чтобы я не искала любви в людях, а нашла там.
For me, it was a lesson not to seek for love from others, but to find it inside.
Yes.
Поэтому в части случаев можно обойтись без таблеток, но придется ответственность взять на себя, что это моя ситуация, она мне нужна, и я ее пройду.
That's what I feel. It's possible to be without medication, but it should be somebody should take responsibility for the cure.
Yes.
И без божественного, без мастеров, без тебя, Mooji, мне очень помогали сатсанги. Это было бы невозможно.
And it would be impossible without masters, without you, Mooji, and without satsang.
И опираясь на твои слова, что это просто повод для того, чтобы оставить эго, не искать там то, чего нет.
And with the help of your words, it was clear that one should leave the ego and not to find salvation there.
Это становится шагом к свободе.
And this become a step to a freedom.
К непривязанности. И тогда получаешь целый мир.
To unattachment, and then you receive the whole world.
Чуть-чуть стоит отказаться от... Мне кажется, что божественное, чем мы являемся, нам предлагает целый океан, а мы в эго цепляемся за какой-то медный грош.
I feel that divinity in us offers us the whole ocean, and ego is just holding to a little thing.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Without
you.
It's not possible.
Thank you.
Без тебя это не было бы возможным. Спасибо.
Спасибо.
May I touch?
Thank you. Okay. Can I'm just noticing that there's a little thing happening with her. I have to remember from time to time to Namaste, Mooji and Sangha. I have a question. Is it possible to become enlightened if I've had an abortion in my life? I mean, it is a very heavy feeling for me, I don't know whether I can get out from personhood after that. Can I be the self? Thank you very much. Lots of love. Henny from Hungary. Is it possible to become enlightened if I have had an abortion in my life? Yes. You can, everybody is the self and can become enlightened irrespective of what you have done in the past. I'm not saying that there are things that you will not have to process and work through, and it'll become far easier as you are in satsang and begin to look, because nobody is here is perfect in that way from the human standpoint. People will make mistakes and do things, sometimes willfully also. Sometimes willfully. We remember the life of Milarepa. He was a murderer, killed many, many people, repented and became one of the greatest sages of Tibet. So everything is possible for someone. You should never think that what you have done is unforgivable. Rather search to be free of the mindset that compels us to do things, that causes pain, and you know, there was a time in Japan, actually, when it was believed that if you were a woman, you could not be enlightened. And the whole nation believed it. Such is the nature of beliefs, you know. And that it was a time of a great Zen master called Bankai. And so there was these beliefs, and it was commonly upheld even by the religious fraternity and so on. Nobody would address this. But he came along and he began to challenge in a very colloquial, very simplistic, could speak to the people, and they loved him because he just actually threw out all these cobwebbed ideas about life. They brought to him one time a woman who was so depressed because all she lived for was for freedom. And then she was told, sorry, madam, you have to come back as a man, and then you may stand a chance to be free. And she was so disheartened, so deeply wounded by that obstacle, And then along comes Bankai and just said, but this is complete nonsense. How could we believe something like this, and if you did this, and gave many shining examples to people. And so much liberated, so many people from anguish who believed that they were born the wrong gender, These beliefs can do this, So I am feeling in my heart very happy to say to anyone, this life is for freedom. Even if you've done something very wrong, you repent of it. You say, I'm sorry I did this, but from my state of mind at the time, I didn't know better and I did this. Would I be forgiven? Yes, you are forgiven. From the very moment you earnestly seek forgiveness, you are forgiven of that, and continue to sorry, I feel a bit emotional about it. Continue to search for the truth and be free. You see? Because everyone, I have not met someone I feel is not the self. But I've met beings whose life is held hostage by certain pains and beliefs and things that were told to them that has really suffocated their life. And I have to tell you, this is not true. Everyone can be free. When people come here, I don't ask, what is your background? Do you have any criminal record and all this type of stuff? You are, by coming here, you show yourself as a candidate for freedom. That is enough for me. Sri Mooji, I've been following your teachings for a while. A dear, dear friend of mine brought me to you. She lives in Sahaja. But I am lost. I have moments of clarity after watching satsangs, but these moments never stay. I am trapped with the daily oppressive sensations of my body, and my thoughts keep me captive. I have moments where I see I am the space between my thoughts, but I don't know how I can be truly free. I have been through some trauma in my life, from childhood into adulthood, and I'm blessed to have pulled through. But I have been caught this time, and I cannot escape my body or mind. Your direction would be more than appreciated. Yours truly, Lisa from Hong Kong. So, Lisa, I would have to invite you to come and spend some time and be in the environment, in the energy field of satsang. And this you will transcend these states. You have to do that. But just to say like this, yes, that is my feeling. Sometimes I have a sense to go really into it and to try and give some instructions, but I'm not feeling that right now. I would rather say to you, then you can write to the team, and I will remember you, and see if we can get you some time to really look into this and get past that. I'll just read another one. And so, beloved Mooji, I've recently returned from the US to India, having been in Rishikesh and attending satsang in February. This was my first time attending satsang. I've been deeply impacted by your words and presence and the energy of the Sangha. Upon my return home, I have fallen ill with a severe kidney stone. I am a very healthy person, young, active, vegan, yoga teacher, meditator. I cannot help but believe that this is your grace, cleansing me of egoic identities and patterns, creating the space to marinate in your words, your teachings, and your continuing Sangha. Sometimes, actually, sickness is also sometimes a form of healing. In our culture, we often don't have this view. As soon as we feel unwell, we start to take things to sometimes to suppress the illness, or which is maybe a kind of burping out of some conditions, psychological, physiological things that need to be burped out. And the mind says, oh, look, I've become sick now. Very often, many people come to satsang, they fall for what we call satsang flu. You know, they come to satsang and then they didn't show up. It's satsang. Satsang. We've had satsangs even in India, where half the people are they got diarrhea. How can half people get diarrhea? You know, like this, and they're down and they're in their rooms, you know, moaning and groaning and stuff. And I tell them, listen, come up into the main hall and lie on your bed. We take your bed, your mattress up there, and you have satsang there. And if you have to leave it quickly, we will help you. You see? And people come and they go through these states very quickly. So don't worry, anything is bad happening to you. Of course, as I said before, there are these energies, and I don't want to trivialize them, because if you believe in them, then they can have a grip on your life in some way, on your body-mind expression. Because very many people believe that they're merely their bodies and their minds and personalities. As you begin to discover that you are the self, the imperishable self, then all these things begin to change. All these things begin to change. Finally, as I wait my second surgery, I find myself in deep gratitude to you and your blessings. I hope to know whether this is a common experience as I continue on this journey of knowing myself. My most heartfelt thanks and love to you, dearest Mooji. Om Shanti, Angela. Yes. Kidney stones, you have to take them out. We've had a few cases of people, I think there was it last year or some point like this, not long ago. Someone came and they had also kidney stones and they were ready to leave, to go back to UK. He says, oh, you know, I'm this, I said, no, don't go. Stay. We'll take care of you, everything will take care of you. Huh? And she said, no, but it's not India is not a place to get sick. I said, stay. No? So she stayed, and we got rid of the stones and everything. And she traveled all the way, even down to Varanasi and to Lucknow, to Master's house and everything. Went back to India, to England. Hey! So, attend to these things, but don't, yes, they do come up. And sometimes what tends to happen is that if something might ordinarily take 5, 10 years to process a certain tendency or something, and in satsang, it gets compressed and you transcend it in 2 or 3 days. But somehow it may be a very intense time and it's gone. You follow what I'm speaking? So it's not, you know, what would have taken maybe years and years to meet and to process painfully gets compounded, compacted into a short time, and it's gone. Dearest Mooji Baba, thank you so much for your presence in the world. Thank you for showing us the way, for your precious pointings. Much love, so much love and gratitude. I discovered for the first time the satsang last week from France. I could feel that every word, even the silence in the room, was leading to the truth. Dear Mooji, I have just one question. I follow your pointing. I feel space. I am space. Everywhere. It is everywhere, not inside. Body seems so far away. No joy, no body existence, just a kind of silence. Coming back to the body is like a surrender to the mind, and then deepest pain and suffering arise with sorrow and sometimes what seems to be an unbearable tearing inside. So, is the ego mind a kind of mandatory bridge to the presence you embody? I love you and all the people who work around your grace. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Marie. So, so is the ego mind a kind of mandatory bridge? Mandatory, what do you mean mandatory? Huh? Sorry? Oblige. Okay, so, where are we again now? So is the ego mind a kind of obligatory or something, bridge or something, I have to go this to reach the presence that you embody? I love you and all the people, yeah, okay. I would not really be thinking like that, so you have to go through this and go through. Just stay in the place that you have discovered. Just stay in the place that you have discovered, that stillness, stay in that stillness, and let whatever is coming up, let it come, and you watch it from the stillness. It's like you're looking out somehow from this vastness, and all this little traffic of sensation, the body, just don't think about it. Don't start to phrase it like, must we go through this bridge? Is it predestined that I must go through this to reach? Forget about it. Just you stay in the emptiness and watch these things. It doesn't matter they're coming out, but you are just the all you are perceiving is just the vastness. There's just the vastness, and things are going in the body. They're moving in the body, and it doesn't matter. You're just the vastness. Just stay there. Don't start to form any conclusions about what you're experiencing. It will soon be gone. It is being belched out, burped out. And don't think you have to understand the kind of biological details and what is needed. No, just you stay as the emptiness, the vastness. Just let it come, and it goes. And you see that in this, there is none of that. None of that has left any kind of footprints at all in this. You are here, you are this. And this somehow, all that was in some way connected to the sense of presence and so on, but it's almost like you don't know anything. Maybe it's not good to say that to anybody. Sometimes people start to speak too early. They get into conversations with people, and they start to say things like, there's nobody here. Just keep quiet. Don't say things, and just don't speak about it. And continue to marinate and mature in your seeing, and enjoy and deepen in it. And by itself, you just continue in your life, in your natural movement in life. You go where you have to go, do what you have to do, meet who you meet. But there will not be this arrogance in you, this drying up. All these judgments, they're drying up. All this kind of intellectual pride is drying up. You're not that anymore. Something here is much more beautiful here. Move in that. Don't talk about that. When that talks, or that moves in some way, then something beautiful emerges. But if the person is there, because for a while the person is hanging around to see if there's some business, So don't give him a chance. You just stay put in there. And gradually, it will lose its influence over your mind. This darker energy will go. Whether it's an energy or an entity, whatever, it will not be dominating your life or holding the beingness hostage in some way. You will just lose that ground. So for a while you must be strong, and then you find you are all the strength that is needed. But don't give in to these energies, because while you are newly born in a sense, there are some vulnerabilities and there's a feeling like that, but you're not alone. But at the same time, there's an intelligence with you. You know what to avoid that and then move away from that. You're just going to stay by yourself for a little bit. Give your life just that bit of space. Give that amount of time. That is self-respect. And be with that and mature in that, so that your light it cannot be extinguished, and you will know that. So I'm happy in some way, because we had these weeks of just spontaneous awakenings, and now we find some questions are creeping back up, and we say, okay, let's take a look at that. But don't leave where you are for that. Let the questions appear and arise in the space of being. But it's not an exchange. And in some ways it is good, because as you move in life, you may have to have encounters with beings who bring the very same kind of questions and doubts in front of you. And you're going to have to come from the beingness and not from your mind. So continue to incubate in beingness, if you follow what I'm speaking. Don't be in too much of a hurry to want to share. This is not your time. It's not, the timing is not there. Just incubate. Even as you're walking around, you're incubating, yes, in the Supreme. Just incubating. And don't talk about it. This way you mature very, very quickly. Thank you. And here we have someone that's going to play. You?
Here we are in this moment, embraced by love in a heart that's open wide, breathing in and letting go as one, asking all that's unreal to die. 'Cause life is showing us there's a different way to be, and our love is showing us to it life holds the key. So just be. Waheguru. I see the patterns of self-destruct that was once induced in your name. But sleeping giants can be put to rest when there's no one here to blame. Cause life is showing us there's a different way to be, and our love is showing us to it life holds the key. So just be. Waheguru. Breathe in, let go, surrender, forget up, wake up. I hear your call. I am the light, witnessing the scene. I am the breath you have given to me. Waheguru, Waheguru, Waheguru. With you I pray. To love I give myself with each new day. Guru Sharanam, Hari Sharanam, Guru Sharanam. Life holds the key. So be free.
lunch nice today? Very hungry today. Thank you.
Speak with Krishna Bhai.
She has suffered for 29 years because of me. Initially, 13 years was very, very bad.
I've been longing to see Guru Ramana and I've seen him. It's been my goal. I want to have a live Guru and I've seen in you. He brought me here. He brought me here. This. I've been to Annamalai. I am from that place. Thank you so much. Take me and shower your grace on me.
I just want to say thank you.
Thank And let it be so. Let it be so. Because if you have chewed them, then the swallowing you have done, then the rest is mine. The rest is God's. You have taken and you have embraced this inside your heart, then you have swallowed, then the rest is out of your hand. And grace takes it. So that it becomes totally absorbed, assimilated.
Want your blessings, Baba? Want your blessings?
Yes, yes.
He said, definitely the same thing. Whatever you want to do.
Listen to translate for you.
There's a team now, you can join the team, no?
I asked, they said it's full, but today so I could contribute something.